Hi, everybody. I came on, I just realized here we go. Because like many of you, I have been deeply affected by the Ahmaud Arbery case. And that's not to say that this isn't something that's been happening or happened before, but this particular story seems to have struck a chord. And since I'm at home, I've been doing some reading and I came across a book by Martin Luther King Jr. Um, my dad used to have anything and everything with Martin Luther King, his books, his speeches, all of that. And at some point when I was younger, I confiscated this book. And I only ever read the introduction, but I've read the introduction feels like 100 times. And I feel like right now it's just very appropriate. And so I wanted to read you the introduction of Martin Luther King's Why We Can't Wait. I think it's as relevant as when he wrote it in 1963 as it is today. So here it is. It is the beginning of the year of our Lord, 1963. I see a young Negro boy. He is sitting on a stoop in front of a vermin-infested apartment house in Harlem. The stench of garbage is in the halls. The drunks, the jobless, the junkies are shadow figures of his everyday world. The boy goes to a school attended mostly by Negro students with a scattering of Puerto Ricans. His father is one of the jobless. His mother is a sleep-in domestic, working for a family on Long Island. I see a young Negro girl. She is sitting on the stoop of a rickety wooden one-family house in Birmingham. Some visitors would call it a shack. It needs paint badly and the patched-up roof appears in danger of caving in. Half a dozen small children in various stages of undress are scampering about the house. The girl is forced to play the role of their mother. She can no longer attend the all-Negro school in her neighborhood because her mother died only recently after a car accident. Neighbors say if the ambulance hadn't come so late to take her to the all-Negro hospital, the mother might still be alive. The girl's father is a porter in a downtown department store. He will always be a porter, for there are no promotions for the Negro in this store, where every counter serves him except the one that sells hot dogs and orange juice. This boy and this girl, separated by stretching miles, are wondering, why does misery constantly haunt the Negro? In some distant past, had their forebears done some tragic injury to the nation, and was the curse of punishment upon the black race? Had they shirked in their duty as patriots, betrayed their country, denied their national birthright? Had they refused to defend their land against a foreign foe? Not all of history is recorded in the books supplied to school children in Harlem and Birmingham. Yes, this boy and this girl know something of the part of history which has been censored by the white writers and purchasers of Board of Education books. They know that Negroes were with George Washington at Valley Forge. They know that the first American to shed blood in the revolution which freed this country from British oppression was a black seaman named Crispus Attucks. The boy's Sunday school teacher has told him that one of the team who designed the capital of their nation, Washington, D.C., was a Negro, Benjamin Banneker. Once, the girl had heard a speaker invited to her school during Negro History Week. Used to just be a week. This speaker told how for 200 years, without wages, black people brought to this land in slave ships and in chains had drained the swamps, built the homes, made cotton king, and helped on whiplashed backs to lift this nation from colonial obscurity to commanding influence in domestic commerce and world trade. Wherever there was hard work, dirty work, dangerous work, in the mines, on the docks, in the blistering foundries, Negroes had done more than their share. The pale history books in Harlem and Birmingham told how the nation had fought a war over slavery. Abraham Lincoln had signed a document that would come to be known as the Emancipation Proclamation. The war had been won, but not a just peace. Equality had never arrived. Equality was 100 years late. The boy and the girl knew more than history. They knew something about current events. They knew that African nations had burst the bonds of colonialism. They knew that a great-great-grandson of Crispus Attucks might be ruled out of some restricted all-white restaurant in some restricted all-white section of a southern town, his United States Marines uniform notwithstanding. They knew that Negroes living in the capital of their own nation were confined to ghettos and could not always get a job for which they were qualified. They knew that white supremacists had defied the Supreme Court and that Southern governors had attempted to interpose themselves between the people and the highest law of the land. They knew that for years their own lawyers had won great victories in the courts which were not being translated into reality. They were seeing on television, hearing on the radio, reading in the newspapers that this was the 100th birthday of their freedom. But freedom had a dull ring, a mocking emptiness when in their time, in the short lifespan of this boy and girl, buses had stopped rolling in Montgomery. Sit-inners were jailed and beaten. Freedom riders were brutalized and mobbed. Dogs' fangs were bared in Birmingham, and in Brooklyn, New York, there were certain kinds of construction jobs for whites only. It was the summer of 1963. Was emancipation a fact? Was freedom a force? The boy in Harlem stood up. The girl in Birmingham arose. Separated by stretching miles, both of them squared their shoulders and lifted their eyes toward heaven. Across the miles, they joined hands and took a firm forward step. It was a step that rocked the richest, most powerful nation to its foundations. This is the story of that boy and that girl. This is the story of why we can't wait. I am going to keep reading, but this introduction could have been written today. It is a crazy world that we live in. So thanks for listening. I will also post this on my YouTube, but non-child YouTube page. We have to do better. It's 2020, you know? So thanks for listening. Bye.